Hello, and welcome to What Does a Vegan Eat? Or What Do You Eat If You're Eating Plant Based? So, first of all, I want to say that what you're seeing in front of you, for example, here, I'm going to talk about that in a moment. What you need to know is human beings species, the actual diet for the human species, just like there is a diet for all species out there. So you can just see the corner of the image that's outside. So there's a species specific diet for every species, and for human beings, one of the type of food you're seeing in front of you is one of the type of foods that makes up the human species diet. So that is starch and fruit. So starch and fruit is the human species specific diet. So these are the staple foods that you should be having. And this is what I'm having for breakfast. Isn't that a lovely breakfast? So this is honeydew watermelons. I've got the label somewhere. But yeah, these are honeydew melons. And the great thing about eating like this, for example, for breakfast, this is what I would call fast food. So I've already got one here that I've had. And what you do is, so you need a knife. So make sure you've got a responsible adult with you. And the great thing is, if you're vegan or plant based, you are a responsible adult because you care about the environment, you care about your own health, and you care about the animals. Isn't that great? Responsible adult right there. So you just scoop out the flesh. This is the bowl. So you don't need to get an actual bowl or even have to clean out a bowl. There's the bowl. There's the food. Once you're done, you pop it in your compost, okay? So you pop it in the compost. And when you're scooping out the seeds, you can just put the seeds in an empty melon bowl. And I've got 3 here. 3. So the reason why I'm having 3, or probably will have 3, maybe if it's only 2, that's fine. I recommend if you want to stay healthy, possibly if you're wanting to lose weight, a lot of people are in the modern world, if they're eating the standard Western diet. So I'll show you some of the standard Western diet foods that you might have eaten. You might be coming to vegan or plant-based because you've eaten foods like burgers, okay? So if you want to be healthy, we don't eat vegan burgers either because they're high in fat and high in protein. So what you want to do is if you want to be healthy, you need to eat a high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein diet. So you might have also had some pizza. So that's not good, is it? That's high fat. Cheesy pizza. Also vegan. Vegan's not great either. Got some donuts. They're usually bigger than that. There you go. High fat food. The donuts. Okay, if we said, yeah, obviously donuts usually bigger than that, but it's just a prop. If we said we were going to compare the sugar content, let's say of this melon here and a donut, it might be about the same. Potentially, it might be about the same depending on how much sugar is on the donut. But if you're going to eat a donut versus a watermelon, let's say for breakfast, so some people eat donuts for breakfast, scarily enough. But if you were going to eat a melon, which has probably got about the same amount of sugar content as a donut, do you think you're going to get fat eating a donut, usually bigger than this, or a melon? You're going to get fat eating a donut, and you're not going to get fat eating melons for breakfast. Just for example, you'll find that you actually will lose weight eating one of these melons versus one of these. Okay, so we don't want these. Okay, so you get fat fingers. Okay, if you're eating donuts. What else have we got? Crisps. Okay, some people I'm sure probably eat crisps for breakfast. Okay, so you don't want to eat crisps. So again, they're high fat foods. What else have we got here? Worst of all, potentially, okay, you don't want to be eating this. Okay, this is terrible for the planet. Livestock industry is terrible for the planet, terrible for your health. High fat, high protein. Animal products are all high fat and high in animal protein. You can't escape it, regardless of what you do. Okay, we don't eat sea life as well. Okay, we don't eat sea life for breakfast or any meal because we are emptying the oceans. So fish stocks are going to collapse in the next few decades. I've got a burger here. So you don't eat burgers, okay? High fat, high protein. So I think you get the message now. So, and also this is meant to be an egg. Yeah, that's meant to be an egg. Don't know about you, but I've never seen an egg that looks like that. Anyway, it's another story. So what we do for breakfast, we can either eat fruit. Fruit is probably, I would say, potentially, depending on your situation. So if you're going for some exercise, maybe long exercise, so I would recommend cycling. Cycling is amazing. If you're going to, so there's sort of two situations really. So fruits are great. You digest incredibly, so you get no bloating. So it's amazing for that. So either you wouldn't eat fruit for breakfast because you might say, well, it's a bit too expensive for me, can't quite afford to eat, this is quite expensive breakfast. Or if you're doing exercise, maybe going for cycling, and you're doing maybe a few hours or more, depending on if you can. A backup or substitution for that is to substitute it for starch. So you can have starch for breakfast. I often have starch for breakfast. So this is a substitution of white rice. So we've got white rice or fruit. White rice is amazing because, as you can see, I've cooked it here in a rice cooker. I did that yesterday, and then I can just put that in the fridge, and it keeps fine. You don't need to make up rice every time. You can make up a batch like this, and you can put that in the fridge between going in and taking some out. So you can have starch that's really cheap. White rice is the cheapest food on the planet. It's low fat, it's low protein, and it's high carbohydrate. So there's that. Also might have it along with some fruit juice, just if you want that. So you could have white rice and fruit juice. Again, low fat, low protein, high carbohydrate. And I just saved this one here because I thought I'd show you how amazing the structure is of this melon, to spread these seeds. It's incredible, isn't it? This stringy plant matter, and then you got the seeds in there. So incredible, that. So just to give a brief recap there. So what you want to do is eat fruit for breakfast if you can. You can substitute it for starch. Always eat low fat, low protein, because the human species specific diet is based on fruit and starch. This is how you eat because that's the human species diet. And we know this is the case because when you eat foods like this, these are high fat foods. Okay, these high fat foods, high in cholesterol, high in fat, high in animal protein. These ones, if you eat these foods here, okay, if you eat these foods here, you do poorly. So this is what causes chronic disease in the Western world. Got some more seafood there. That's a cookie. Oh, cookie there. These are high fat foods. High fat foods. Okay? High fat foods. And these are the Western foods, and they are leading to chronic disease. Heart disease is ridiculous when you realize, if no one's told you, because no one's going to, because Heart disease makes a lot of money for the medical industry as it is, sadly enough. But heart disease is simply a result of eating the wrong foods. It can be arrested and reversed if you eat the right foods. Plant-based, vegan, low-fat, low-protein, high carbohydrate. Plant foods are where sugar comes from. Animal foods are generally where fat comes from. And yes, there are some high-fat foods, so obviously processed vegan foods. So we don't eat processed vegan burgers because, well, if you care about animals, actually, if you care about animals and you don't necessarily care about your health, then yes, you can still eat vegan burgers, for example, and vegan cookies and vegan pizza. But if you care about the three pillars of what veganism is, which is health, personal health, planetary health, and animal health, then you eat like this. But yeah, if you don't care about your health necessarily, then yeah, you can eat vegan burgers. But heart disease, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's literally because you're injuring your body from eating these high fat foods. All you have to do is stop the damage day after day and switch to what humans are meant to eat, which is this. So I hope you enjoy the video. Like and subscribe. I've got other videos showing what I look like in other videos. And you'll be able to see that I'm always lean. 5'11". Generally, when I do a lot of exercise, my weight will be in the mid to low 60 kilos. So I might be 63, 64 kilos, 65 kilos. And then if I do eat more fatty foods, just like everyone else, no matter where you come from on the planet, you'll add weight, your set point. Okay, your set point. So your set point is where if your weight averages around this point because you're eating these foods, so your set point every day will be about the same. So if you were, say for me, if it was like 66 kilos or 65 kilos eating like this, my set point would start to rise every day. If I was eating vegan pizza every day, my set point would start to increase. So my body weight set point would increase because I'm eating more fat. So the less fat you eat, the lower your set point weight, body weight. That is the body weight that you carry day after day, week after week, month after month. If someone was to see you now and then 6 months later, you would look basically the same. Whereas if you're eating foods like this, and foods like this, your set point will start to increase. So if someone was to see you and you eating like this, and then a year later and you were eating like this, you would look like a different person because maybe you would be 65 kilos at 5'11" eating like this, or maybe 66, 67. And then if you were eating like this for 6 months or a year and someone saw you again, you would be 75 kilos or 80 kilos or 85 kilos. So it's not about how much you eat, it's about what you eat. So what you want to be eating is this, and you can eat as much of this to feel satiated. So what we want to do is eat to feel full. No counting calories, okay? No calorie counting. This doesn't need calorie counting. The reason why you calorie count is because you're eating these high fat foods, and the only way you can stay lean or lose weight while eating foods like this is by going into this abusive relationship with your body of calories in versus calories out. High fat is always the high calorie foods, so high fat foods are always high calorie. These foods, so starches and fruit and sugars, are low calorie. So this is low calorie eating, low calorie eating, high calorie eating. So there you go. Isn't that amazing? The foods that we are meant to eat is starch and fruit, low protein, low fat, high carbohydrate. The body runs on sugar. And yes, you can get your energy from fat and you can get your energy from sugar. All sugar is carbohydrate and all carbohydrate is sugar. All fat is fat. Fat is fat is fat. So the fat that is in this, that is in this, they might have different names for them. So saturated fat, unsaturated fat, PUFAs, omega fats. You might have vegetable oils, you might have animal fats, you might have pig fat, you might have tallow fat, you might have fat in beef, you have fat in your donut, fat in the burger, fat in the pizza. It's all 9 calories per gram, regardless of where it comes from and how destructive it is. It's always going to destroy your health. Excuse me. So yeah, don't fear sugar, fear fat. Fat is the thing to fear. Fat, not sugar. Fat is scary. Fat is scary. And it leads you to get chronic disease. And then the standard medical industry gives you drugs and surgery, which is scary. Scary, painful drugs and surgery that doesn't really work. Because heart disease has never been reversed. And type 2 diabetes has never been reversed. There's never been a recorded case of these reversed through standard industry, through the standard approach, standard of care with the drugs and surgeries that are currently given. But it has been reversed with a plant-based diet. Incredible, but it's not being told because there's too much money in keeping people, there's too much money to be made in poisoning people with this. And these are the expensive foods. Cheap, expensive, excuse me. Expensive foods, high fat, high protein. Cheap foods, low fat, low protein. You see? So the industry pushes these because these make money. They take an awful amount of resources to make. So that means they use lots of energy, lots of fossil fuels, and that's good for business. These are low energy and these are literally low calorie foods. They take the least amount of energy compared to these. These get pushed, these poison people in the Western world, or wherever anyone eats them in the world. And then guess what? You're then given drugs, scary pharmaceutical drugs, that will poison you, and surgery that is very painful and scary. All you have to do is change your way of thinking and eat the diet that's meant for human beings. It's this. Anyway, have you got any comments or questions? Put them in the comment section below. And yeah, you might think a burger is fast food, for example. Just one last point. You might think a burger is fast food, but even that, when you think about you have to go to one of these temples to fat and protein, like the Golden Arches, and you go and then you have to wait. You go and order and you still have to wait. Whereas you go for fruit. You go for fruit and you literally just grab it and you just eat it. You just grab it and eat it. And this is fast food. So you just need a spoon. You don't even need a spoon, but you get a spoon and then you just eat that flesh. It's so obvious. Okay. And then you think about when you've got your burger and you've got the wrapping. When I'm out cycling, and I quite often see the equivalent of this. If this was in the bushes, threw it in the bushes, for example, put it in the compost at your house. But if you're out, it's going to biodegrade and rot and return to the soil. Whereas the packaging that surrounds, like a burger, you throw that. That's just plastic waste in the environment. Again, there you go. Eat like a human. Eat like a human, and not whatever this is. Anyway, thanks for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.